The word Advent means coming or arrival. It's a time when we celebrate the fact that Jesus chose to become flesh and dwell among us. Historically, Advent was not just a time to celebrate the one moment God broke into human history, but also to remind us of the hope we have that Jesus will one day come again. But can looking at Advent through Jewish eyes help us better understand the coming of the Messiah? By exploring just a few key Hebrew words, we can take a beautiful, fresh, new look at the Advent season. Welcome to Shalom Has Come. Welcome. I am so excited that you decided to tune in and watch this 4-part series. I'm really excited to be sharing just a little bit about what I've been learning about the Advent season and about how learning just a few key Hebrew words can help us understand the biblical story of the coming of the Messiah. The birth of Jesus and the birth of Christ kind of comes alive when we can understand it as part of a bigger biblical narrative. Now, if you'll look behind me, I have a Christmas tree. This is actually the kids' Christmas tree. I love this Christmas tree because it has all the little handmade ornaments that the kids have given me over the years, and it's fun to put it up. It's fun to reminisce about Christmases past, and it just got me in the Christmas spirit, and I'm so excited to start this series and to share a little bit about what I've been learning, what the Lord's been teaching me as I've been diving into these concepts and researching. So we're going to gaze more deeply at the Messiah through Jewish eyes, and hopefully it will help us to understand the coming of the Messiah just a little bit better. We're going to play the part of detectives, and we're going to see how these words fit together in the biblical narrative of the coming of the Messiah. You know, the Bible story is best read as one story. It's one story from beginning to end. And so when we focus in on just this one little section of the Bible in the birth of Christ, we can miss out on some beautiful things that can help us to better understand the coming of the Messiah, why he came. And so we are going to back up and we're going to look at some concepts, some key Hebrew concepts that will help us better understand the coming of the Messiah. Now, I'm going to provide a reading plan each week. It'll be in the show notes of this segment and of each segment. It will also be published on my blogging page, and you can also follow me on Facebook or Instagram, and I'll be posting that stuff there as well every week. And so I am really excited. So you ready? You ready to go? Let's go. The first word we're going to look at is the word shalom. Shalom is probably one of the most recognizable words in the Hebrew language. Jewish people use this word as a greeting. Shalom Aleichem can be heard each week during the practice of Sabbath or Shabbat. We recognize the word shalom as meaning peace, but this is a very flat and very one-sided definition of a much larger and much more beautiful words in the Hebrew narrative. Shalom means more than just peace. It means completeness. It means soundness. It means well-being. It is associated with both physical and spiritual wholeness, and it is bound up in the covenantal relationship that the nation of Israel had with their God. Shalom is also a hearkening back to the Garden of Eden, to a time when everything was perfect and whole and complete. You see, the opposite of shalom is sin. Pursuing sin and open disobedience against the word of God, it disturbs our shalom. And it's because of sin that we were cast out of the Garden of Eden, where we found that perfect shalom, that perfect oneness with God. And ever since that day, we have been looking We have been searching to try to find that oneness with God, that wholeness, that completion, that shalom that we found back in the garden. We have even invented ways over the years to try and recreate this version of shalom, this version of oneness that we found with the Lord in the garden. And every single way that we invent to try and recreate that, they all fall short. And it makes us wonder, can we ever really find true shalom outside of the Garden of Eden? Well, I've got some good news for you, because we absolutely can find shalom, because shalom is not found in a place. Shalom is found in a person. See, way back in the Garden of Eden, when God was pronouncing judgment against Adam and Eve, God gave us a reason to hope that one day we could find shalom again. See, in Genesis 3:15, God gives us a vision of a person that would come, that would harm the serpent, and he would wound the serpent. And because of that, he was giving Adam and Eve hope that one day they would find that shalom again. This prophecy, it's in Genesis 3:15. It's the very first messianic prophecy found in the Bible, and it was sent at a very dark time to give us hope, to give not just hope to Adam and Eve, but to give hope to us as well. And I'm so thankful that we have that hope. In the New Testament, we are introduced to a Greek word for peace. It's the word eirene, and it brings with it the full context of the Hebrew word shalom. The word eirene is the one that the angels use in Luke 2 when announcing the birth of the Messiah to the shepherds. They tell of a baby being born that will bring shalom and ultimate satisfaction to the people of earth. That baby is the same one that was foretold in Genesis 3:15. The problem is that many Jewish people thought that the shalom that the Messiah would bring would come with the sword. They were looking for a Messiah to come and bring an earthly kingdom, to overthrow the Romans and overthrow the oppression that they had been under for so many years. But they didn't understand something very, very important, because Messiah did not come to bring shalom through military and political might. Messiah came to bring shalom to our hearts first. A military kingdom, a political kingdom, could never solve the problem of sin, and sin was the problem. Sin would be a problem no matter how strong of a military or political kingdom that the Jewish people were a part of. They had to first combat the sin that was disturbing the shalom. Only a spiritual solution could solve a spiritual problem. So, to break the bonds of sin, God sent Jesus to reconcile us to Him, to bring shalom back so we could find shalom. Sin was really what was disturbing our shalom. It wasn't the fact that we were oppressed that the Jewish people were oppressed by a military regime. No, that wasn't what was disturbing their shalom. The sin that was in their hearts was what was disturbing shalom. So Jesus came to destroy the chains of sin. You know, the bringing of shalom to our hearts, it actually comes with a calling. Just as God, when He came and sent His Son Jesus, just as He brought shalom to our hearts, we are to in turn bring shalom to the world. See, the coming of the Messiah put a face on God. Jesus was God incarnate. And so we are to in turn incarnate God to a world who was walking in a life that is wrecked by the absence of shalom. You know, historically, Advent is about a time when Jesus came. We focus a lot on Bethlehem, the coming of the Messiah, the birth of the Messiah in Advent. But historically, that has not always been the case. Historically, Advent has had twin focuses. One being on the birth of Christ, the other being on the fact that one day Jesus will come again and he will bring everlasting shalom with him when he comes. He came to Bethlehem to bring shalom to our hearts, but one day he will come again and bring shalom to the entire world. So today, if you feel pressed on every side by chaos and anxiety and pain, all the things that we face on a day-to-day basis in abundance, don't you dare sink into hopelessness, because you need to hold on just a little longer, because shalom is coming.
One day, there will be no more suffering. There will be no more pain. There will be no more anxiety. There will be no more waiting. Peace is on its way. Hold on just a little bit longer. One day, it will be worth it